Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and I should just get myself out of the way. I mean, really, what am I even doing here? Because look at these darn things. Okay, so here we are looking at the Mod Scenes DMX Hoist from Mod Scenes, which are a product that we now have at Learn Stage Lighting Gear, and we're honestly just super pumped to bring to you guys because I think they're just such an interesting and different concept in adding lights to your stage to make a really big impact without a lot of cost, especially if you're in a place that doesn't have haze or doesn't use haze all the time. Something like this can really make an impact. And so we're doing a whole series of videos, both on the gear channel here and on the main Learn Stage Lighting channel, and maybe even on the Onyx channel a little bit. And what we want to do in this video is really share with you guys how these work. Really dive into reviewing, okay, how do we feel about the build quality? How do we feel about the setup? How do we feel about, you know, the everything about them, how they work, how they function? You know, give you the full deal about what we like, what we don't like, what could use improvement, so that you can make the best, most informed decision when you're looking for something special, something cool, and something different to add to your stage. The basic concept, if you haven't seen any of our other videos on these, is this. The Mod Scenes Hoists are a DMX-based hoist. What does that mean? That means that you got something that goes up and down and you can hang cool lights on it. The cool thing about these is these guys go 29 feet, and I'm checking with Mod Scenes because it might be 39 feet for the new ones. These are rental hoists that they have, but the new model hoist might be actually 39 feet, and that's the travel of the hoist cable. So even if you have a higher ceiling, even if you're gonna put it possibly at a higher height than 29 feet, you'll realize that it doesn't have to go all the way to the ground to look awesome. In fact, many times it doesn't, and it sure makes keeping people out from under them easier if they don't go all the way down. And so the basic gist is you've got a box like this, okay? So the box lives on your truss, on your pipe. It's got a regular C-clamp on it, or whatever your clamp of choice is that you pair with it. You hook up a safety cable, and then on the top, you've got PowerCon in and through, and DMX 3 and 5 pin in and through. On the front, you've got a regular old, just generic kind of LCD for DMX, and a menu up, down, enter. You can set all the things in here. So there's a lot of settings. Most of them you don't need, but you can set the DMX mode. There's some different modes, whether you're using a pixel tube or a ball, like we have here, or they have squares, and we can shoot up some footage from one of the other videos where I've actually got the ball in action on one of these hoists. Okay, so you can set that all up in the menu, and then, oops, out of the bottom of the box comes a cable, okay? From the factory, it's zip tied on there. There's a good reason for that, and what we'll talk about is you can look at our how-to video on how to set these guys up, and you'll see there, if it's not out yet, we'll link to it when it comes out. You'll see there what the zip tie does, how to set them up, etc. Okay, and so then, you know, coming out of the bottom, like we said, let's see, is this a good spot? Nope. Coming out of the bottom of these hoists, the cable comes out, and now it's able to go up and down for this fixture to be able to raise and lower. And that's the basic gist of it. There's a number of shapes that Mod Scenes is able to provide with the hoist. That's a fully contained fixture, but also you can hang anything around 1.9 pounds, I believe. Technically it can go a little higher, but they recommend staying down at that 1.9 pounds. Okay, so let's talk about the fixtures. I'm going to go ahead and switch really quick to a different lighting scene, and we're going to talk about the different fixtures they offer, what we think of them. All right, so I went ahead, changed to this crazy rainbow pattern, changed to a different movement pattern where they're just kind of doing a 1-2, 1-2 like this. So you can see, first of all, this is their DMX pixel tube. It's a pixelated tube with a bunch of different segments. We can put that on the screen. I think it's 12 within it, where you get RGB control of each individual segment. The fixture itself, let me grab one here. It is some sort of interesting kind of molded, like blow mold, almost like those Christmas blow molds. It's like a blow molded plastic tube that's semi-translucent, so it's a little bit opaque so it catches light. And then on the inside, you've got, of course, the RGB LED pixels, okay? Now, all of their fixtures power through the cable, okay? And so that's a huge benefit because now, you know, you can put a color changing fixture on the end of this hoist and it powers through that cable, okay? They also get data through that cable, power and data, and then they lift up and down. So you simply hook these up, we cover that in another video, and you're ready to rock and roll. So they've got the tube, okay? Got the tube inside. They also have the orb, and we'll show this lit up here probably in the side of the screen. And then they also have a square, which is similar to this orb. Now here's where it's important to point out a couple really interesting distinctions, okay? So first of all of these shapes are a semi-translucent, semi-opaque plastic, okay? They catch light really well. Now, in the case of these fixtures, that's like a benefit and a curse, okay? You can see as I hold this here, how well this catches the light from my front wash, from my film lighting here, okay? Okay, so if these guys get into a space where they're being lit by your front light heavily, the color can start to disappear if it's really bright. So like anything, like if you have a video screen behind your stage or a set piece or anything like that, you do want to make sure that you hang these guys in a space where there's not a lot of light hitting them. Okay, if they're in a space that's really bright, like a lobby or something, then you're really not gonna see these LEDs during the daytime, okay? They're not quite bright enough to cut through well. Okay, so do be aware of that. What I would love to see from Mod Scenes, and I'm sure they'll see this and mention it, and I'll try to remember to email them, is, or call them, is I would love to see some direct view LED options for these hoists, where you had a pixel strip maybe like this with direct view LEDs so that there was no diffuser, so that even if a lot of light hits the fixture, you still get a punchy and interesting look out of it. Okay, but again, not a deal breaker. It's just something to be aware of, that you've got to keep light off these things to make them shine their best. If they're, for sure, if they're over an audience, if they're in a dark lobby or a lobby at night or something like that, these things really pop and they do look amazing. I would note on that topic, from what I can gather, basically, the orb and cube is probably the same wattage of LEDs, the same quantity of LEDs, the same power consumption as the tube. But in the tube, they're more split up, okay? So what does this mean? This means that when I compare these together, as we did in one of our other videos, where we had this guy sitting in the middle, the orb is definitely brighter than the tubes. Okay, so the pixel tubes, I mean, obviously, like having pixel control of all these different segments is just kick butt. Like, it's awesome. It's such a cool effect, and I think it's great. If you don't need that effect, or you're concerned about brightness, you really want maximum brightness, you may want to look at doing the orb or the cube. It just might be a better fit for you. Okay. But other than that, you know, in terms of, okay, who's this right for? What's the cost like? Is it a good fit for you? Besides the fact that all these diffuse shapes take light really well, I pretty much like everything about these, okay? The price point's really solid. You know, if you're in, say, a 300 to 500 seat room with that size stage, you know, these are about the same cost as like one inexpensive moving light, okay, for that size space. Okay, they're in that range where, and I don't like to mention pricing in videos because as we go into the future, you know, 5 years down the road, somebody's gonna see this video and there's gonna be inflation and they're gonna cost more than they cost today. But in general, like a small wash moving head costs about the same amount as these hoists, okay? And so when you add that all up and you start to look at, is this right for me? There's a couple use cases, a couple places where I think really benefit from technology like this, okay? The first, as we discussed in our video on how to place them and where we introduced them over on the Learn Stage Lighting channel, I mentioned that, you know, these probably look really great. They look great when they're close together. I would probably not go more than 5-ish feet apart for maximum effect. Okay, now you could do a cluster in the center of your stage 5 feet apart. You could do some different clusters on the sides, some different chandeliers in a couple spaces on the stage. There's ways that you could lay it out to not use up the full stage and still make it look really good. But I would say, like, okay, best places, best cases for these are going to be venues where you can't use haze, but you want a really awesome lighting show. Okay, that's one. Venues where you have front lighting that's good, you have back lighting that's good, and maybe you have, you know, if it's a music type thing, whether that be a church or a music venue or an event venue, where you've got spot moving head fixtures from the back, you've got washes from the back, and your backdrop's probably lit, and you're going, okay, you know, if I wanted to get some more stuff, if I wanted to get more units like these, or more lights, right? Not more units like these. If I wanted to get more lights for my venue, or maybe a small production company, you'd say, okay, if I went and spent, say, in today's money, $1,500 to $2,000 on a moving head and bought 8 moving heads, right? It would make, you know, maybe a 5 to 10% impact in how much better your stage would look, right? It wouldn't be massive because you've already got a good set of lighting. On the other hand, if you took that same money and you bought as many of these hoists as you could get, you can now spread these across your stage. And now for some events or some shows or some parts of shows, you can take them and just have them in a pattern where they don't move. And the lights change color, and you use them as a practical, as a light up set piece on your stage. Maybe in an intermission or a slower part, you bring them down low to raise the ceiling of your show. Maybe they're the only thing glowing on stage besides some basic front light. Then, of course, there's times where you hit a faster song, where then you move them all around and do all kinds of crazy stuff like we're doing here, right? The point of something like these, and what really makes them shine, is not when you use them and just have them moving all the time at full speed. And this is not full speed. We'll insert some of our B-roll to show you how fast these go. That's not what makes them effective. What makes them effective is when you spend a lot of time not moving them. Maybe you move them between shows or events or services or what have you. Maybe you just move the position, okay? And then the few and far between times are where, okay, you're doing a big number, you want to make a really big visual impact, you start moving these things all around and it's crazy. That's like 10% of the time, right? And that's how you get the most impact out of something like this. So, we like these lights. They're well made. They, you know, they're not overly built, but if you take care of them, if you don't beat them up or throw them around, these hoists and lights should really last you a long time. They're well built. They're at a solid price, and I think they're really worth a look if you're in one of those situations we mentioned. So, if you haven't already, check these out at Learn Stage Lighting Gear. We are Mod Scenes dealers, and we would love to help you get your hands on these things. And then we will see you over on Learn Stage Lighting Gear, whether you just buy them direct off the page, reach out for a quote if you're buying them in bulk, or reach out via the contact form on LearnStageLightingGear.com if you have any questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out all the rest of the videos we have on these awesome hoists, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Thanks.